It is so incredibly easy to talk about overcoming mental health challenges, but it's another one to actually have to overcome the mental health challenge. Recently, I recorded a 40-minute podcast episode on mental health challenges specifically for men. The unique challenges that men face, the unhealthy ways that they're coping with those mental health challenges, healthy alternatives to that, and ultimately the positive outcomes that result from overcoming mental health challenges in the right ways in regards to your professional role, your personal roles as a husband, a father, a friend, and so much more. After 40 minutes, nearly 40 minutes of recording that podcast episode, I uploaded it and realized that I had the wrong microphone selected. And in fact, I got 40 minutes of video, but no audio. Talk about a quick way to totally unravel my own mental health in the midst of talking about mental health. Interestingly enough, I had somebody DM me on Instagram responding to my reaction story to realizing that I didn't have that audio. And then a couple of questions for me around me dealing with that specific challenge and how I handled it the way that I did. And I thought it was great to share a video with you on some simple things that you can do when you're faced with something like what I was faced with just the other day. So the first question he asked was, how do you handle such a huge disappointment? Now, for some of you, you may be saying to yourself, I mean, come on, it's only 40 minutes. It's only a podcast episode. It can be recorded. And yes, that's absolutely the truth. But if you're anybody like me, you have a calendar that is very intentionally structured, and you have time set aside for every single thing that you do, especially during the week, especially as an entrepreneur. And so to give up or to have to find another 45 minutes to hours time to prep, to record, and upload an entire podcast episode was actually quite frustrating. Furthermore, I really felt like I delivered a lot of great content. And if you know me, you would know that a lot of my content is one and done, meaning I don't rehearse. I typically think of the topic I want to talk about, lay out a few points, and then just get after it. And so the thought of having to recreate that entire episode and that entire discussion was quite frustrating, and it really was disappointing. But my instant reaction after a little bit of internal frustration was, what am I going to do about it? I can let this totally ruin my day, the rest of my week, and my weekend, or I can chalk this up to, I can do it again, I'll just have to figure it out. Now, it's a lot easier said than done, and that's not always the way that I handle these situations, but in this specific situation, that's how I was able to approach it and not turn it into something where I was throwing something across the room, I was cussing up a storm, or I was going to grab a drink, even though I haven't had a drink in over 160 days. The second question that he asked was, what does it take to not let this be a crushing blow, or to send me backwards into a cursing rage or further into despair? And while I addressed that a little bit previously, I want to address this again because this isn't just about my reaction, but I think this is helpful for other people too. It's only a crushing blow if we let it be a crushing blow. And again, when it comes to simply recording a podcast episode, it's not that big of a deal, and I can do that again. But there are a lot of other instances when we are confronted with the unexpected that could send us into a rage so quickly. Maybe getting news that we did not want to receive. Maybe failing at something that we thought we were going to succeed in. Maybe just getting having a frustrating encounter with our spouse or a child that just flips us out. And I want to say this. I was fortunate this specific week to have really good rhythms of mindfulness, of prayer, of meditation, self-care, and just an overall positivity around my mental health. And so by the time the week rolled around to experience this frustration, I was actually in a really good spot. Now, we don't always get to pick and choose the spots when we encounter something negative, but I would say that if I hadn't been proactive over the last week and really couple of weeks, there would have been a much greater chance that I would have flown off the handle because I was already frustrated. And so I guess the answer to that question is I had been proactive. And so therefore, that wasn't the thing that threw me over the edge. The next question he asked was, how can I accept the cost of just doing it again? Well, I say this to you. What else was I going to do? I mean, I could have just tossed it completely. I could have just let my podcast team know that we weren't uploading an episode this week, that we were going to skip it. I mean, it's not really the end of the world. It's just one episode, and it's not like there's millions of people that are dying to listen to my podcast. But the more I thought about it, the more I thought about the fact that I wasn't going to let this technical error, and really a mental error on my part, prevent me from sharing something that was so important to me and so deep on my heart. And it's this topic of mental health, specifically for men. And so I thought to myself, well, I can do this again. I can make time. As a matter of fact, on Saturdays, when I'm typically chilling on the couch with my family, I'm going to set aside an hour. I'm going to go into the office and I'm going to record that episode, which is exactly what I did. And so I just found time. And again, I would say this is an encouragement to you as well. If we want to get something done and we believe that it's necessary or important to us achieving our goals or fulfilling a desire, we are always going to find the time. There's never not enough time, because we're always wasting time. We're always allocating times to things that aren't that much of a priority. And so for me, in this specific instance, I just chalked it up to, I will find more time because it's important to me to share this topic. And finally, it wasn't a question, but it was a statement. And he said, something's going right to have such mental and emotional fortitude and to publicize your mistake. Well, I want to just answer that question or that statement with an answer of my own, even though it really wasn't a question. And it's this. It's not necessarily that things are going right, though again, I have been very proactive in ensuring that my mental and emotional, my spiritual, and my physical well-being are all in a pretty good place recently. But there's something that's more important to you or to me, and I think that if you consider it, it would be more important to you as well. And it's this. I don't just want to talk the talk. You know, it's very easy for me making videos like this, sharing content on social media, recording podcast episodes, even coaching, speaking in front of hundreds or thousands of people, to just say what I know to be right based upon what I gather out in the world, but not practice it myself. But I just can't be that way. That's not who I am. This logo on my hat, the logo back there on my wall stands for Be Authentic. And authenticity to me is closely tied to transparency and vulnerability, meaning I just need everybody to know where I'm at all times. It's not even that you care as much as I just want to continue to be the open book with many torn pages that I have professed to be over and over again. So again, yes, I'm in a pretty good spot mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually right now. So that definitely helped me to combat the situation and to hop onto Instagram real quick and share the story about the fact that I just blew it. But more importantly than anything is I just want to be transparent and vulnerable about my high highs, my low lows, and everything in between. So I can encourage you to do the same thing. You don't have to, and you should not live my life. My life is not the right life to live. I just hope that my experiences will allow you to experience life the way that you've been created to live. So with that, I cannot wait for you to listen to this upcoming episode that I have on mental health, specifically for men, that I'm titling Manning Up to Mental Health. But more importantly, I just want to encourage you to get out there and do the best you can to live the life that you have been created to live.